Morning, everybody. It may not be morning when you watch this video, but hello! Today I am cooking from the Whole Bowls Cookbook, and we are doing something that's originally called radicchio with beets, sweets, and classic balsamic dressing. So there is the photo. So beets, yes. Sweet potatoes, yes. The radicchio is going to become a red cabbage, and then actually, because this comes with a feta, I'm going to do a separate video on a tofu herbed feta. So just to get everything going, I've got a number of things in place already. So I've preheated my oven, and I've got some sweet potatoes that have been pre-cut. So I cut them up, I peeled them, I cut them, I made them into roughly bite-sized pieces. And all I'm going to do with this, it probably calls for 2 tablespoons or something of oil. If you're working from a whole plant-based perspective, you know that oil is something that they try to avoid. I am just not a fan of roasting without oil, so I'm going to go ahead and add just a touch of oil and turn my veggies in the pan. Now, if you were following the recipe to a T, they would also roast the beets with these sweet potatoes. I just happen to always make my beets the same way. When I get home from the grocery store, I put them in a pot of boiling water and I let them get soft. I let the water cool. The peels then come right off and I dice them and I put them in the fridge. I do it every time because they take up a lot of space in the fridge, because I never want to spend the time in the moment to make them, because there's a lot of dye involved, and so I just get that over with. So when I come to my meal day, I'm just taking a spoon and putting it in the bowl. It's always the same with that. Okay, so these are good and coated. And so the directions say 45 to 55 minutes. I'm probably going to check it around 45 because I'm not roasting the beets. I'm adjusting my rack so that it's right below where the convection is. And I've put my oven on roast as opposed to convection or just plain bake. It tends to cook stuff a little better when you're working with a hard object like a sweet potato. It's a root vegetable. So just to kind of give you a sense, those are my cut up beets. They're ready to go. And then I'm going to take a step forward and work on the dressing before I go to the cabbage, because I want to show you about cutting cabbage. So this dressing is very, very simple. The recipe I'm making calls for, it says that it serves 4. I tend to make a double batch of the sauces anyway, so I probably need to make a triple batch of this sauce. So we start with a balsamic, and one batch would be 2 tablespoons. So I have kind of a small-ish bowl. It's not really large, but if one batch is 2 tablespoons, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You see, I never stop pouring. And it's the same with the oil. So in our world, I'm trying to do a little less with oil. So if I did 8, I'm going to do 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they tend to feel like there's this beautiful way of blending. We want the flavor, but I want less of the oil. So then maple syrup. Let me just check my recipe. Maple syrup is a teaspoon. We actually have, like, from the farm, Wisconsin maple syrup. So exciting. Oh, I don't want this teaspoon. I want the one that I use for wet ingredients. Okay, so if I'm doing a triple batch, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then some garlic, salt, and pepper. I'm gonna go ahead and put in 2 cloves of minced garlic. These are like kind of medium-sized cloves. I've gone ahead and peeled them already. You can buy them peeled. If you don't have time or you don't have fresh garlic, maybe just a teaspoon of garlic powder. But my press puts that in, And you can get your garlic out of the press any way that you want. I tend to just use the blunt end of a knife, as you see there. I tend to give it one more squeeze to kind of get whatever is possible to get from it. Garlic is spicy, especially in its raw form. So if you are working with littles, you want to be sure that you're not over spicing them because they do revolt. But if you're a grown-up, that little bit of kick with the spice is really nice. So salt and pepper. I'm going to work, not a ton. I'm going to go maybe an 1/8 teaspoon on the pepper and then a 1/2 teaspoon on the salt. If you are working out of the How Not to Die cookbook, you will know he doesn't do salt at all. Did you see that I caught it? So he would probably put in like a spice blend of some sort instead. Maybe thyme. He would use herbs. But essentially, right, you're just going to give that a turn. And this could sit until dinner. If it's morning like it is, you could put it in the fridge, but your oil is going to get cold. I'm going to put it in the fridge anyways at the end of the night. But that's kind of all there is to it. And if you've turned it like that and then you're coming back to it later, you would turn it again before you did it. But that's your dressing. So simple. That's your balsamic dressing. Then I want to go ahead and turn our attention to this cabbage. So I have cabbage today instead of radicchio because they didn't have any radicchio. Whatever reason. It just is what it is. So there is a core in there that I need to deal with. And so when I cut up a cabbage, see I've got my hand on top, I go straight in and I try to find where that core is going to be. I get as close to it as possible, all around every side like that. And then seeing what I have left, I estimate where that core is going to be and I cut down. So I leave a block that has the core in it. Now, if you don't have a food processor like this one, we bought this so long ago, I can't even remember when we bought it. So this one has attachments. I went ahead and did pecans because I was going to pull it out anyways. You could chop your pecans by hand. You could buy them chopped, but I buy them in bulk and they don't come chopped that way. So, if you were doing this using a knife, just to kind of give you a sense, you would just take small, thin, little strips like that, and you would be getting cabbage like you would get for coleslaw. It just takes longer, and I don't know. I think if you've got the food processor, it's kind of fun to use it once in a while. So when you do this, it won't start for you until it senses the lock on the back. That's the big key there. So I always have to make sure that it's the right size for the chute, but then it just goes right in. And I probably won't use all of this for this meal today, which means I'll have extra of this really healthy cruciferous vegetable on hand. Such a bonus. So I like the fact that I can buy a whole head of cabbage, whisk it up really quickly, which I'm not showing you because my thing locked. And then I'm done. I'm done for the whole week. I can turn it into a cabbage salad by adding a little lime juice and salt. I can put it on top of anything salad-like. And it just works beautifully. Cabbage is such a beautiful thing. And it's not that expensive at the store, which is also great. So it makes fast work too. It goes right down. And you're working with a vegetable, so when you're cleaning, it's really just rinse. So when I get done, especially because I was showing you, there's always a few little tendrils on the, so I can like stick them in there. And pull it right down. So what ends up happening then is I just have all my components to the meal. This is going to go in a bowl. This is already in a bowl. This is in a bowl. My sweet potatoes are roasting. They'll go in a bowl. And then my dressing is in a bowl. I'm going to make that herbed tofu feta, but otherwise you would just have regular feta. And that would be it. When you go to assemble those bowls, it's a little of this, a little of that, a little of this, a little of that, and then boom, bada, bang, you've got this beautiful meal. So lots of little pieces, but not a lot of time, especially when you break it up. So let me just give you a picture of it again, so you have that visual, right? The beets, the sweet potatoes, the radicchio, in this case, red cabbage for us, pecans, your dressing is drizzled throughout, and then they have feta. So I'm going to make a different video for the herbed tofu feta, and otherwise, that's that recipe. So fast, it's a quick salad, it's hearty, you've got that root vegetable in there, you've got a really great vegetable, you've got healthy fat with the pecans, that whole plant aspect to it, and you can like eat that and feel really good and be on the move, which our family is on a Tuesday as it is today. So thanks for being with me, and I will talk to you soon.